Probably shouldn't have even bothered firing that up. Now it's a little bit too hot. So I'll just stand out in front of my bedroom here for a little bit with the door open. Tell you what, I've just thinking about a few things. Is something that appeared in the paper the other day. This city that I used to work in, manufacturing radiators, it is, holy smoke, it was headed down the path, and may still be headed down the path of turning into the next Detroit. It is a shitstorm that is only going to be more of a shitstorm. I remember when I was working there manufacturing those radiators, there's a guy there who they've had four large industries, very large. One closed down years ago in the early 70s. Another one is scheduled to go at, I think it's September this year actually, yeah. And another one has closed as of, about October last year, I think it was. Might have been even earlier, might have been September of last year. And there's one left. And when you hear about the amount of money these guys have been making, they thought it was going to go under. They had to sell it. They didn't expect to get a buyer, and if they did, they expected the whole lot to just be disassembled and taken to an Asian country. And they got a buyer. And now they're all shitty that this buyer is bringing in foreign workers, and when you see what these guys are on, they fucking deserve to be burnt by the new owner, because honestly, unbelievable the amount of money they're on. I'll give you an example. There's a guy who watches with sandblasting. Sometimes the hoses will blow out. Now it only blows out if your hose is fucked, basically, well beyond its use by date. Of course, this industry's got so many OH&S rules that 80% of your job time is just filling out safety paperwork. And basically, they would replace these hoses so often that they're probably replacing them 3 times as often as they need to. But they employ a guy on $1,400 a week to stand there next to the off switch, so to speak. It's actually an air compressor valve, but next to the off switch of this sandblaster to turn it off in case the hose blows. He is on $1,400 a week. Not a month, a week. No shit. It's a guy my father knows back in 1988. He used to work there, and in 1988 he used to clear, with about 45% tax, he would still clear $1,200 a week in 1988. They make a lot of good puns about how everything's, we've got new stuff. They got these stupid fucking cups they're manufacturing. All they are basically is just your travel mug, and they've got a little chip that you can pay with a PayPass sort of a account set up, or something like that. I don't even think it's PayPass. I think it's actually like a customer database, and effectively it's like a barcode built into an RFID chip, and you scan that over the counter and it scans and automatically charges it to your monthly account that you got to pay for your little coffees. And they started manufacturing a few of those, and look, we're saved. And they got a hatful of other things. I must admit, they got another auto industry thing which is quite good that they've managed, and there's also another vehicle manufacturer, coming in to manufacture trucks, but only on a small scale. But, you know, everything's always overblown to the shit house. There's, you know, all these different things. The mayor, what a fucking joke he is. He used to run a paparazzi agency in London. And he's had too much cocaine over too many years, and he even admits that himself. Yeah. This is a local government, a county government, in American terms. They are in $70 million debt, and they want to borrow another 50 to bring it up to $120 million debt. I shit you not. This guy spruiked all these new things that were going to come to the place. You know, this is all these new projects that we're bringing in. They had a major builder who built this multi-story apartment complex right down near the beach, and they had so much shit. They said it is the last time we're ever going to do any dealings in this city because the union shitstorm and the local government shitstorm is just too much for us to even bother coming back again. And yet they pretended that it was a great success, and it was only a start of things to come, and it was one step on a glorious, you know, grand expansion, and there was going to be more of these, and the company said, we are not touching this city ever again. It's been such a shitstorm. There's another project that was going to be worth around $360 million that he spruiked over and over. It disappeared without a fucking trace, and the people that were going to be behind it are just, nobody's heard of them since. Like, as in around the town, it's not like, well, we're going to build a smaller one now. It's just like the guys just went back to whatever city they come from, you know. That's it, game over. And there's been about 3 or 4 projects this mayor's spruiked, and the whole lot's just, they're just sort of gone with the wind, gone without a trace. You know, the people who are going to run them aren't living in the city, you know, aren't doing a smaller project. It's just gone. It's like it never existed, you know. And I'll tell you, the dysfunction in this city is hard to believe. I'll give you an example. There's a couple who, bit of a career couple. They'd been married for about 2 or 3 years. They were going to hold off having kids for another 3 years or whatever, maybe 4 years. She got pregnant, and they went in and told the hospital, well, I think, you know, I'm pregnant, so, you know, where do we go from here? They didn't ask if she was happy about it. They didn't ask, was this expected? And, you know, if it wasn't, are you still happy? You're thinking of managing? You want to make your mind up if you're going to keep it or not keep it? Or, you know, what are your thoughts on, you know, any sort of decisions or any questions? They didn't ask any of that. They never even asked if they were happy about her being pregnant. They loaded this girl up with all the abortion pamphlets they could lay their damn hands on about how she could get it for, you know, subsidised health things that would basically cost her almost nothing, and cancelling lines for, you know, women in crisis and all this sort of stuff, and, you know, abortion hotlines, all this sort of stuff. And she said, me and my husband walked out of there with a big wad of friggin' abortion pamphlets, and neither of us spoke until we're outside, and we're just shell-shocked. We couldn't even believe it. They didn't even ask us if we wanted to keep it, and they were obsessed with loading us up with all these abortion pamphlets, and they spent 15, 20 minutes talking about all the abortion options and just load them up with a stack of abortion pamphlets. Never once did they ask, do you want to keep the baby? Never once. They're a married couple. They're reasonably wealthy. And they just said we couldn't believe the lack of empathy, lack of compassion. Didn't even ask. Didn't even ask what our thoughts were, what our feelings were. Just 20-minute rant on all the cheap abortion options. And they got a thing which I must admit is actually run by an American woman who's been here for about 8 years or so. Well, maybe 12 years now. They got so many fucking charities in this city, they actually have an umbrella organisation for these charities. And this American woman is head of another part which hooks in with this umbrella organisation called Give Where You Live. I don't know if it is the actual umbrella organisation or it's a branch of it or whatever, but it's all tied in. And it's encouraging people who are in this city to, I mean, you know, you see some white trash, you hear some stories, and in gun-free Australia, or so they tell you, we're not actually gun-free. You can legally get guns, it's a bit of paperwork, definitely a lot in my state. Not so much where my sister is, not much paperwork at all, but, well, there's plenty of paperwork, but it's easy enough to get it. But anyway, in one street they had 2 fatal shootings 10 days apart, drug-related. That gives you an idea of the city you're dealing with. And I heard this American woman from Give Where You Live on there trying to convince people that they should have, and they tried this shit at our workplace too when I was at the radiator manufacturers, to donate $50 a week to these different charities, and maybe sort of, you know, $50 a week to the whole lot, or pick out a few that you like. And she sat there on the radio interview that I was listening to, saying that we don't have anywhere near as much money as we need, and there's people in this city in need, and blah blah blah, and all this sort of stuff, and you know, it's and the radio DJ's going, oh, it's terrible that, you know, we are so desperately in need, but we can't even cover all our own needs. And I thought, now, what the fuck is that? Does that sort of mean that as a sum total of the city that the productivity is actually negative, not positive, you know? Is that sort of what it's saying? I mean, it doesn't necessarily mean that. It just means that there's a lot of people who are probably awake to the fact that a lot of these whingers don't need any fucking money. You know, if you think e-beggars are bad, you should see some of these bastards. Fucking hell. They had one on the radio, and you know, on welfare, didn't want to get a job, wasn't interested in a job. When they did offer him a job, live on air, he goes, oh, can I get this money cash in hand so the welfare officers won't know? Oh, fuck, mate, you just said it live on air to 200,000 people. Like, I think the welfare officer knows now. Holy smoke, you know. And when they said, you know, oh, can you come in next time or whatever, you know, this is after they brought him in. They sort of bring him in once a week, but this is like about the 3rd week, and he got the idea that a lot of the people who called into the show didn't really like him, to put it lightly. And, oh, can you come in next week? Oh, no, I've got to be... And he said he was going to be busy. Right, this is what slipped out of his mouth. He was going to be busy playing a new fucking video game he got, like a new Xbox game or some shit. Fucking hell. You know. This dude's married with 2 kids, by the way. You know, he's older than me. It's like, fucking hell, what are you doing? Oh, well, would you take a job if you could get one? Oh, well, I'm pretty happy with where I'm at life at the moment, you know. And, well, you know, you got 2 kids to support. Oh, well, we're trying for a third one because the welfare money, if you have 3 kids, is better than if you have 2. Oh, fucking hell. What they ended up doing at my workplace, getting back to this whole give where you live thing, oh, that's dirty. That's where the cat friggin' walks on the bed. Anyway, what they ended up doing, they come around, you know, to us in this workplace, and not to us, of course, it was to the supervisors. Now, the supervisor I had a hell of a fucking childhood. I think he got thumped up by his father or something. I shouldn't really speculate, but I believe it was something along those lines where he's getting beaten up. And he had to leave home at age 14, which isn't so good. Anyway, he said, oh, well, as a result, a lot of these things are close to my heart. Now, this guy, you know, had a job and was making a go of it, obviously, being my supervisor. He's actually head of that small department. And yeah, well, we had a little read, so here you go, here's all these little pamphlets, a little sob story by these lazy bastards as to why you should give to them. Now, mind you, they're getting full welfare money. They're a nice young couple, but they're basically white trash, but they've got like an e-beggar, they've got to spin a nice little story for you. And what they basically try to do is pretend they're a nice little family, and he's trying to get a bit of work, but he's having a bit of trouble at the moment getting work. Now, the girl was 25. They had a daughter that was, was she like 7, and another one that was like 4 or something. He was 27 and she was 25. He's having a bit of trouble finding work at the moment, and blah, 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 blah. And as I said, these guys are getting full welfare money, but then they're asking for us to give them money. And how it was they expecting each department would be given a family in need, and we would give, you know, $5 or $10 out of our paychecks. So these bastards would basically get, oh, fucking hell, probably another $150 a week. Now, their welfare, I know, I can tell you straight up, welfare is about, what is it now, about 272, 273 a week, I think it is now, for a single man like myself. By the time you add the kids in, you've got 2 adults, you know, they'd be, they'd be raking in. Honestly, probably is more money than I was making working for Chinese Boss at his vineyard. And then they want another $150 a week. Not a month, a week out of us suckers. You know, and that's on top of their welfare, and I don't think that would have affected their welfare payments because they've got all these things so well rigged that anything that I couldn't do in terms of mucking around with paperwork at the welfare office, these guys can. The amount of exemptions and stuff is unbelievable that these guys can pull out that you've never even heard of, but they can get into. I knew a family whose daughter was 15 years old, still going to school full time, but she was getting the full amount of welfare money of an unemployed person, even though she's still full time at school. I'm fucked if I know how they've done it, but if you know, that's, you know. And these guys, if they got $150 a week out of us, they probably wouldn't have had any effect on their welfare payments. They made up a nice story that, he's been trying to get work for a little while. He's having a bit of trouble. And they said, so, when's he last had a job? Oh, well, never. So he left school probably 16 or something like this. He's now 27. You're telling us in the last 11 years he's never had a single job. Well, yeah, because he's having troubles getting a job. And this welder that I was standing next to, he said, he's shaking his head just like, this is fucking horse shit. And he said, then why don't you give him a job here? Because, I mean, I'd been put on doing a job that, what I was doing at the time, a friggin' monkey could have done it, really speaking. And the supervisor's all, mate, well, it's not as simple as that, mate. And the welder goes, yes, it is. Yes, it is. You could give him a damn job here, and then he'd have a job, and he wouldn't need to be asking any of us for money. Oh, well, he's got to go through this and that. And the welder goes, yeah, I know, we've all got to go through a drug test when we start here, and he wouldn't pass a drug test. I know exactly. And we're all thinking the same thing. And they had the wife there as, she enjoys cooking. And I was actually, because I used to do the surface preparation for the painting, degreasing and all that sort of shit, sanding it a little bit to give it a surface profile and all that bullshit that I was supposed to learn in my apprenticeship, and half did. I obviously spent all the day with the spray painter, and I leaned over to the spray painter to stand next to me, and I said, look at this. She likes cooking. And I said, yeah, she probably likes cooking heroin up on a fucking spoon. She goes, yeah, too right. And, you could read between the lines, and you could see these sob stories, and that's all it is. It's just a little pissy sob story. And you read between the lines, like this guy hasn't worked a single fucking day for 11 years. And when you start asking a few more questions, you find out, the people aren't there, but usually the supervisor or whoever, knows a little bit more than what's just written in the pamphlet. And, yeah, the dude hadn't worked in 11 years, never worked a day in his friggin' life, and you knew exactly what you're dealing with. You're dealing with lazy fucking white trash who was pulling a sob story to anybody who would buy it, and if they'd buy it, then bang, they'd benefit your money in their pocket, And they went around and tried to push this shit on the entire organisation of around, how many worked there? 220 to 230 people. And, yeah, I'll tell you what, there's been times there where large amounts of public housing, and there's a time there where I was driving down and I realised all these public housing houses were vacant. And come back a couple of weeks later and the windows are smashed in and all the fucking spray paint's everywhere. I showed some of that in an abandoned shopping strip, or primarily abandoned shopping strip. Saying they had a school they demolished. Actually, they demolished my school and they demolished another school as well. And I didn't really see it happen to my school, but this other school in that same area, before the dozers come in, fucking spray paint all over the place, all these graffiti. And I'm not joking, before the dozers come in. Now, this school, right, could house, over 200 students. It was huge. I mean, the joint was, shit. It was, honestly, how big is it? Probably 250, 300 yards, and that's in one direction. That's along the roadway, and then goes right back. They smashed every fucking window in all of those buildings. And I used to see this as I was coming back from where I'd used the free Wi-Fi. There were hundreds of metres of friggin' cinder block buildings, and there wasn't a single fucking window pane left in the whole lot of them. And the joint had only closed a couple of months prior, a few months prior, and just smashed the bejesus out of it all, and that's the sort of shit that happens around there. It's not unknown to see kids riding motorbikes, straight, unregistered motorbikes, straight out on public streets, dirt bikes and shit like that. I mean, there's cops all over the place, don't give a shit, And it's the same suburb I was saying about with the two shootings, fatal shootings 10 days apart in the one street, you know. She's a glorious city. That's just one part of it. There's another part that I ended up just about getting into trouble in. That sort of one person shot another person all over his girlfriend, showing the neighbour a picture of her downstairs department. I mean, you know, some of these arguments that carry on, that go on, you know, and result in someone getting shot, and you just think, you know, so-called gun-free Australia, you know, fucking hell. It's a shitstorm. There's another guy there's guys I used to work with in my apprenticeship, and one of them used to carry a sawn-off shotgun under his seat, you know, and all legally owned, of course, but there's another dude that actually, it was a fucking ripper, that one. I've got to tell you this one, this turned into a real circus. Guy I was working with on the Thursday, I was working with him. He was working with another group of people on the Friday. This was when I was working at the nursery. And on the Saturday, he was the shooter in a drive-by shooting. And it was a shit gun. I heard he hit 8 people, and he did. He hit 8 fucking people. And I thought he had like a pistol or something, and he basically emptied the magazine in a pistol or something like that. No, he didn't. He had a sawn-off 410 shotgun. I thought, when I was told that, I sort of said to the person who told me, he said, "Oh, fuck, that's a downer. I thought he had a real gun." but anyway, they had a big when all the plants get watered and all that in the nursery, of course, it's all concrete and stuff like that, and they got like a area that it all overflows into, and it goes into a big pond, which in Australia, ponds are often referred to as dams, even though they're not actually damming a river or anything. It's just what we call it. And somebody said, as a joke, you know, that they reckon they didn't find the gun or whatever, and somebody said he probably threw the fucking gun in the dam here, because half the time, you know, there's not even a proper front gate. It's just a blooming, you know, could have just driven in here. Half the time the gate's bloody open. Could have just driven in and flung it in the dam. And they said he probably flung it in the dam. And it was only a joke. And this stupid blooming, oh, she's all right, a woman, but she's a little bit sort of, shall we say, a bit high-strung. She's a good supervisor. I would employ her, to be quite honest, but she's a very high-strung person. She was always quick to jump on rumours. Well, she heard this rumour, and she then went and reported it as fucking as being true to management. And sure as eggs, we had police divers in the fucking pond. They had their big truck, like the big forensics truck with all the fucking bags and all the bits and pieces to, you know, hold anything, you know, if they found body parts and all that. The full kit all in this truck, and I'm talking a decent-sized commercial truck, parked in the car park with police divers going in and out of the dam, and another guy in the forensics team there with a fucking video camera, like a decent fucking quality video camera, videoing in case he come to the surface with a gun. There's evidence they, you know, had actually got it out of the dam because, you know, it's in the diver's hands. And that was what we saw at work one day. I should have, you know, geez, if I was on YouTube like I am now, I would have fucking videoed the police divers and everything if I could have got away with it, but that was before the days of me being on YouTube. But I'll tell you what, you know, it's a circus, and you look at this joint, you know, stacking on the bloody debt, the local government, and it's like Detroit, you know, it's interested in these lovely facades, and the whole joint is just rotten to death with fucking white trash and bullshit, you know, and closed industries and empty friggin' industrial buildings, and holy smoke, you know. This stupid mayor, he got this Christmas tree. Now, we're going to make a Christmas tree that floats on the fucking water out in the beach, and they spent $1 million on this fucking heap of shit. And I saw it, and I thought, holy cow, that's not a Christmas tree any more than fucking I'm an astronaut. You want to know what it looked like? Honestly, it was like a giant cone made out of white tiles, sitting on some fucking big pontoon fucking floaty thing. And I heard it was going to be, out in the water. I thought it'd be a decent distance out. Holy smoke. It was about a lousy 20 yards out in the water. I could have jumped over the side and swam to the damn thing in me fucking clothes. I couldn't believe it. And I looked at the size of it and I thought, this thing was supposed to be enormous, stuck way out in the water. And it was fuck all. It was about, 15 or 20 metres high, I reckon. It was ridiculous. All lit up with multicoloured LED lights. And I mean, all you had was multicoloured LEDs shining on what looked like a giant cone of white tiles. And then he had the audacity to stick up a thing in the front of him. I mean, how tacky does this sound? I mean, how's this for a phrase? Put a banner up on one of the overpasses as you come into the city. The Christmas capital. The Christmas capital. Fucking hell. Why don't they call it the fucking McDonald's drive-through capital or something like that? Because it sounds just about as tacky, as the Christmas capital. Holy smoke. It's not a capital city, by the way, what I'm talking about here. It's just... And to store this, I can't work out the costing here. Maybe they've got to keep it upright because of the shitty design. Apparently the contractor built it and got a quarter way through building it and gave up or something. Oh, that was right, yeah. The set-aside budget for it was only a quarter of what you could realistically build it for, and they went to multiple different engineering mobs, and all of them costed out the thing at fourfold or fivefold what it could realistically, what the budget allocated for it was. And they just said it's ridiculous. He wants to build this for a certain price, and he said there's no frickin' way you can build this for this price. It's just not going to happen. For it to be structurally sound and not fucking sink to the bottom, and to have a proved pontoon that's not just a bunch of friggin', old tyre tubes blowing up underneath it, but a proper pontoon and stuff like that, it's, going to be well over cost. And the first contractor pulled out midway or part way through, and it just turned to shit. They finally got it built. Somehow now the cost of storage for this fucking thing is $125,000 a year. $125,000 a year to mothball this bastard until Christmas comes around. No shit. And I think the reason behind it is something to do with it can be only... They can't lay it on its side to store it. They've got to hold it upright. Like it'll just collapse structurally if they lay it on its side. So it's going to be held upright. But then for some reason the rent on this place to hold it upright is $125,000 a year. I mean, are you shitting me? That's like... What's it, like $5,000 a week or something? I just, I can't understand how, and why did they build it so it can only be held upright? Like how shit is this thing, For $1 million, something that's 20 meters tall, like fuck me, Anyway, just like Detroit, trying to keep the facades and the nice looks going while the whole lot's going sideways. But I know Detroit's had the, whatever it is, $1.4 billion thing that Obama's put in. Thank God somebody's doing something to that joint, I heard talk of, invasion in Syria and all this sort of stuff, and they said that what they should do is just show Assad photos of Detroit and say, this is what we do to our own cities in fucking peacetime. Do you want to see what happens when we come to your country in wartime, or do you just want to fucking give up while you're ahead? Anyway, that's a 100 megabyte long rant, so I better leave it at that.